What's up, everybody? I just want to talk a little bit about what I've been doing lately. I've got Age of Sigmar 2 just landed. I've got my Stormcast book. I've been making some lists. So, this is kind of what a lot of people have been talking about. Like the ThunderCats list is my version. I'm running Hallowed Knights because Hallowed Knights are closest to what my guys are painted. And also, I really like the buffs. It's a army wide on a 6 up, negate the effect of a spell or endless spell. Anybody that's Hallowed Knights. So, in an age of like endless spells and malign sorcery and Nagash and Zinch, and yeah, I'm okay with that. That sounds pretty cool. Also, we get a command ability, um, the Holy Crusaders, where we pick a unit, um, and you can either or no, and it gets +1 to run and charge, and can also run and charge in the same turn. That's really handy later on for our combo. Then the battalion I'm running is the Cleansing Phalanx. It's a new Sacrosanct battalion. It's 2 units of Sequitors and 2 units of Keyword Evocator. I'm going to be taking Evocator on Dracolines. 2 units of 3. So the list is Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline as my general, with the Hallowed Knights command trait that you have to take, Martyr's Strength, which is when she dies. I'm going to be running the Astria Soulbright model as my Celestial Dracoline. So, when she dies, Martyr's Strength kicks. If she dies in melee, Martyr's Strength kicks in. You roll a dice. On a 2 up, she gets to pile in an attack before you remove her from the battlefield. So it's pretty cool. Not terrible for a you must take command trait. Um, then the Celestial Stave artifact I gave her is the Staff of Focus, which is once per battle you gain, for that turn, you gain +1 to casting, and then if you deal any mortal wounds, you deal +1 mortal wounds. So if it's like D3, now it's D3 +1 to anything you're doing for that entire battle round. So that's pretty cool. So that means if you summon the Comet or whatever, I'm not running the Comet in this list, but that's gonna be nice. And then I've also got her Stormcast spell from the Lore of the Storms is the Stormcaller, which is casting value 7. The turn I used to have to focus, now it's casting value 6. You can do the math. You can keep following along there. Stormcaller, basically, you roll a dice for every enemy unit on the battlefield. Anywhere on the battlefield, every single unit. You roll a dice. On a 6 up, they take D3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty freaking awesome. So I'm just going to be hammering that away every single turn. 5 turns of that. And then her mount trait, they changed mount traits, so now only one like mounted hero can have a mount trait in your army. So even if you have like a Aquilor and a Toralon, and only one of them gets a mount trait, the rest are just. Um, I could see all of them being good. It's just the Pride Leader for me is the best one for this list for what I'm trying to do, and it's a buff to all friendly Dracoline units wholly within 9 inches, including herself. And it's +1 to hit for the entire War Scroll. Not just the mount, it's everything. So that's their great staves, that's their sword and stave, that's the claws, that's everything. So that's pretty awesome. That's Pride Leader. Then I got Lord Relictor. His prayer is Divine Light. This one's a twofer. That's why it's my favorite. Translocation. I could easily slot that in there if I need to. But Divine Light is just my favorite because I get 2 spells for the price of 1. You cast it. It's a prayer. It's a 3 up, and the prayer is heard. It's successful. You can. It's a unit within 18 inches, enemy or ally. You choose an enemy, then all of your Stormcast re-roll hit rolls of 1, and then if it's an ally that you cast the light on, Divine Light on, then enemies have to. It's weird how it's worded, but enemies have to re-roll successful unmodified sixes against that unit. So like you put this on like a shield wall of like liberators or sequitors, and then your enemies have to re-roll successful hit rolls of 6 against those sequitors. So they're yeah, it's pretty awesome. Um, Lictor's went up to 100 points, but he's still amazing. Still auto include in my opinion, but I'm fine with that. I love him. Knight and Cantor. I haven't decided which version of Knight and Cantor I'm going to use. I have the one from the Soul Wars box, but the one that comes out of the one that comes out of the what is it? The Evocator on Foot box. You can also make one of those Evocators a Knight and Cantor, and it looks really cool. Obviously, I need to put a helmet on whichever one because all my Stormcasts have helmets. That's just my personal preference. This Knight and Cantor, the only thing I gave it, her, him, whichever one I decide to go with, is the spell Starfall, which is basically a Lord Celestin on Dracoth Breath. You pick a unit, or you pick a point within 12 inches of the caster. I think it's cast value like 5 or 6. Pick a point, 12 inches, and then roll a dice for every enemy unit within 3 inches of that. On a 4 out, they take a mortal wound. So, not terrible. Nice little bomb to keep spitting out every turn if I need to. Then the last hero slot is Knight Azeros. He also went up from 80 to 100 points, but again, that's fine because he got buffed. So his standard ability used to be everything within 10 inches, reroll hit rolls of 1. If anything in the Stormcast, shoot at anything within 10 inches of where Azeros is, he's projecting a light, they get to reroll hit rolls of 1. Now, it's just reroll hit rolls of 1, period. Not limited to shooting, so now you get melee rerolls too. So now Azeros, like, yeah, he went up in 20 points, but he's so valuable now. Because he buffs everything in the storm. He buffs you no matter where you're at, no matter, and he's really good he's already really good by himself. Like, I always put him up in the clouds, drop him out of the sky, and then shoot everything with, like, I was running long strikes. Now you drop them out of the sky, which I also should say they changed sides of the storm, so we don't fucking roll anymore, which is amazing. So we can just choose when to drop down outside of 9 inches, the standard, but we choose when and which unit drops. No more of this random crap. We get to actually be tactical, which is really nice. But you can only put as many things up in the celestial realm as you have on the table. You can't go over half. You have to have at least half on the table at all at deployment. Unless rules break that. I think there's rules that break that. I don't know, but as far as I know, you have to have at least half on the table. Anyways, the Parchment Purity, which is the mandatory artifact, so the Martyr Strength is the mandatory command trait for your general, and then the mandatory artifact is Parchment of Purity, which is the bearer heals +1 wound at every hero phase, which is really nice on the heroes because he's really good at just being this own little like solitary unit. He just goes off and does his own thing, and people shoot at where he's near, but the archers never get near him. That's how I've always used him. So I know that he's good at just going out and doing his own thing by himself. That's what he's good at. He's buff. He's got 5 or 6 wounds. You know, he's got 5 wounds. He's got a 3-up save. Really easy to find cover. He can fly. He can drop down. He's got the lantern for explosion, mortal wounds. He's got 4 attacks on his sword. He's not terrible. And now the Parchment of Purity will just keep healing him 1 wound every turn. He's actually going to be pretty decent. I like him a lot. And now he gets his own buff for re-rolling hit rolls of 1 in melee with his sword. Then battle line, I've got 5 Judicators with longbows, and the Prime has the Shockbolt bow, pretty standard. Then my 2 units of battle line, because Lord Arcanum on Dracoline is my general, which are the 2 units of Sequitur, 2 units of 10 Sequiturs, each with 5 Great Maces. That's the way you should run it for maximum optimization, because you get 2 Great Maces for every 5 models. Then you get 1 for every Prime. That makes 5 for every 10. So I've got to have, and in a unit of 10, I'll have 5 with Storm Smite, Mauls, and Shields, and 5 with Great Maces. Then the other unit, because I'm a hobbyist, I want to have a little bit of both. Plus, I don't think they're bad, and I want to try them out because they have extra attacks. Is a unit of 10 Sequitors, Tempest Blades, and Soul Shields, with 5 with Sword and Shield, 5 with the Great Maces. So that's my battle line. 240 for 10 Sequitors, 240 for 10 Sequitors, 160 for Judicators. Expensive, but I'm kind of doing that on purpose because it's also part of my battalion, so I'm kind of playing into it. I'm kind of going heavy on my battle line. I want them to actually be competent. I think that's kind of what's intended. Don't think of them as attacks. Use your battle line as like to their maximum ability. And now that they're actually giving us battle line that are worth a damn on their own without massive buffs, Liberators are great, but you need to buff the hell out of them to make them great. Sequitors are just kind of good on their own, and they're only 20 points more. Yeah, you have to Arcanum as general, but all the Arcanum choices are pretty great as generals. Some of their command abilities could be a little better here or there, but for the most part, they're all amazing. Anyways, so finishing off with the last units, so I got 300 points for 3 of these guys. 2 units of Evocators on Draco. 2 units of 3 Evocators on Dracoline. Now, they give you the option to take up to 2 Great Staves. They come stock with like dual weapon, just like the Evocators on foot, where you can have the dual weapon, the Tempest Blade, and the Storm Stave. And it has the Neg 1 Rend, and yada yada yada. But just like the Evocators on foot, the Great Stave has more range, no Rend, but 2 damage instead of 1. But it's like, I think I'd rather have the Rend most times. But I'm going to try out these Evocators on Dracolines with 1 Great Stave each. You're allowed to have 2 per pack of 3, but I think I'd rather just have the Rend attacks, especially with this build. But I'm going to have separate Dracolines so I can just kind of piece in and out. So if I want to run them with all 3 dual weapons, I can. So we'll see how it turns out. And then the closing out is just the Cleansing Phalanx, like I said, 120 points and a command point. Then Endless Spells, I've got the Celestian Vortex, which is, you drop it down, it can move 8 inches, roll 12 dice with some, well, roll 12 dice against anything within 1 inch when it stops, and 6s do mortal wounds, and then additionally, anything near it is neg 1 to hit and shooting. So you kind of push it near their archers and you shut them down. Then I've also got the 20, that's 40 points, and then 20 points for Quicksilver Swords because it's just a great little assassination, and it rounds it up to 12, or 2,000 points exactly, and it's 100 wounds. The plan for this list, originally I was thinking, oh cool, I want to drop the cats down from out of the sky, but because I'm Hallowed Knights, I don't think I need to, because I think what I do is I use Judicators. I keep maybe like 1 Evocator in Dracoline and 1 Sequitur unit each up in the clouds. Keep a 0 up in the clouds, keep Relictor up in the clouds, and then start with maybe Incantor on foot and Dracoline on foot, or, you know, another option, another thing I'm thinking about just off the fly is just keeping all the cats on the ground because they're already pretty fast. And then they can run and charge with that command ability, and then the command ability on Lord Arcanum on Dracoline is +1 attacks characteristics for their claws. It's starting to get pretty brutal. So let's add up all of the buffs on these Evocator on Dracoline, because that is the main, that 600 points, that's my main, like, shock force. That's my main damage dealing thing. Like, pack. I've got 2 units of 3. I think I would run 2 units of 3 even if it wasn't mandatory to fill out my battalion that way, just because I don't know how well. I mean, maybe 1 unit of 6 would be easier to buff, but all the buffs are kind of like a bubble buff anyway, so it doesn't really matter. First of all, they have the Roar, which is, all the Dracolines have a Roar, so it's -1 bravery. to anything around it. They don't stack, but that's still nice. -1 bravery in general is kind of cool. Plus the -1 to hit. There's a lot of -1 bravery, -1 to hit bubbles, like stacking buffs you can do in Stormcast as well. This one a little bit more of the -1 to hit buffs, debuffs. Additionally, you could take, if you want to lean more into the negative to hit, you could try to fit in. You could cut down the Sequitors to 2 5-man units and just run bare min battle line. You could also get rid of the Judicators and just run another unit of Sequitors or unit of Liberators or whatever for battle line, and make some room to fit in a unit of Tempestors. That's another -1 to hit. The Relictor's already -1 to hit with his Lightning Prayer. You could also take the spell Thundershock, which doesn't deal amazing damage. It's alright. It's really good for Lord Arcanum, Dracoline, or Toralons, because those are characters, mounted characters that really want to get into the fight. And what it does is it deals the mortal wounds like an AoE when you jump in. That's only like a mortal wound though on a 4+ with everything within like 3 inches of it. You roll a dice, 4 up, you take a mortal wound, and then, but all additionally everything's -1 to hit that gets hit by it too. So yeah, it's not amazing damage, but it does do pretty nice utility with that another -1 to hit debuff. You could also take the mount trait instead of Pride Leader. You could take the ear bursting roar, which is you pick a unit, roll a dice, and I think it's on a 3 or a 4 up. They're -1 to hit for the rest of the turn, or for the rest of the battle round. So again, lots of -1 to hit you could stack there. I think that's something I'm going to toy around with. Stormcaller I like because I can just deal damage to everything across the board. It's kind of like a mini Dracoth Mortal Wound Rain. That's another thing with these new Stormcast. There's a lot of Mortal Wound output from range, and I'm going to be playing around with that. It's also why I'm taking on Starfall. Thundershock could, if Stormcaller's not very good, I'm definitely going to try out Thundershock next. Also, 1 or 2 games I'm going to try out with Pride Leader, because that's the one that gives rerolls or +1 to hit for any friendly Dracoline units wholly within 9 inches, including herself. So that's all 7 of my lions, all 7 of my Dracolines. Dracoline, I don't know. All 7 of the cats get +1 to hit with all of their weapons, all of their claws, everything. That's pretty awesome. So we'll see. I'm going to play around with that, but this is what I'm kind of set on right here, right now. So I will leave an actual link to the picture. It has all the units there, and you can kind of look over it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the list. My thoughts are that it's going to have a lot of utility. It's going to have a lot of variety and options for me. Got 2 different endless spells, both of them deal mortal wounds. Got good utility, easy to get in and out. I've got 4 different units that can unbind. Evocators on Dracoline can unbind, even though they can only cast the Empower. But because I'm running Cleansing Phalanx, Empower is actually pretty fucking good. It was already decent. Now it's really good. If you do it on Sequitors, then so in order to get the max buff, what you would do is probably start with the cats, which are fast on the field and the slow things up in the air. Find your prime target for your Alpha Strike. Get your cats into position and you get all your command. Wait until you have your command points ready. So top of turn 1, you're gonna have 2 command points, 1 from the battalion, and 1 from being your first turn. You get 1 every turn. So you would drop down your Azeros. You have, that's the thing, is though, you have to be patient. And I've been playing nothing but Vanguard Chamber for the past 9 months. So I've been really practicing on my patience. So I'm going to take what I've learned there and kind of utilize that mindset here. I've got really good battle line Judicators. I really like to take more Judicators, but can't really fit them. I mean, if I drop down both of those secondary units to 5-man units, then I could fit more shooting. But I don't think I need it because I'm gonna hopefully have enough damage with the Sequitors, Evocators, and Dracolines, and then all the spells. And my heroes do decent damage too. Every single one of them deals decent damage. Um, so this is what I'm going to try out. Basically, it's sort of like a Cat Alpha Strike list. You stack the command ability from Celestial Dracoline to re-roll, or to add 1 to the attack's characteristics of all claws. It's a 9-inch Wholly Within bubble, so you just keep them all together. It's just one giant pack of 7, basically. So it's +1 to all the claw attacks. Then you use another command point for the Hallowed Knights command ability, which is the Holy Crusaders. And that is the +1 to run and charge, and they can run and charge in the same turn. Now, Dracolines naturally have the Pounce on their War Scroll, which is they can reroll any failed charges, and they go up to D3 damage on the claws on the charge. So +1 attacks, D3 damage, within, if you're doing it correctly and you have your zeros within 10 inches of the target, then it's re-rolling failed hit rolls of 1. It's +1 to hit from the, or then it's re-rolling all failed wounds if you have the Empower. So you do one that empowers the brothers, and then these ones empower the other one, and they just cross over. So they each have the re-rolling wounds. You could also buff the Dracoline to re-roll wounds there. You can't do 3, unfortunately. Then Pride Leader, which is +1 to hit for the entire thing. So +1 to hit, re-rolling hit rolls of 1, +1 attack, re-rolling wound rolls, +1 to charge, run and charge in the same turn, D3 damage on the charge with the claws. That's what I'm throwing in your face. That's my Alpha Strike. And that's back. And then on top of that, you've got the spells, which deal a lot of damage, have a lot of utility. Behind that, that's just the 7 lions. With that amount of buffs. Then behind that is I've got Sequitors, I've got Judicators. Those are going to be let's face it, those are going to be the ones that are off taking objectives and fighting the line fight. But Sequitors are great. With those 5 Great Maces, they're going to deal a lot of damage. They're going to be awesome. Judicators are great. Azeros is going to be nice and solid. I already know it. Incantor has the once per game Dispel Scroll and all that crap, so that's going to be really awesome. Be able to heal things with the Celestial. It's just, I don't know, there's a lot to the list. So, yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'm going to see you guys on the next list video.